to jerk off a lot in the past, but now I only jerk off maybe once or three. Well, that's still... I hope you mean weak. Even in his mid-20s, Alex has always been on the scrawnier side. He spent most of his teenage years in his dark bedroom playing Halo 3 and Call of Duty, eating mostly pre-packed food and seeing very little daylight. Though his high metabolism prevented him from getting fat, his skinny fat physique makes him feel very insecure and unmasculine. At the age of 25, he resents the stolen hours of his youth, never discovering the gym, getting sunlight, and optimizing his testosterone and endocrinology. Halo 3, how that takes me back. It was difficult writing and creating that short story at the start, and the reason why is because I see so much of my wasted youth in Alex as well. I don't think, to my credit, that I was as wasteful as Alex was. I certainly wasn't as inactive. I certainly wasn't skinny fat. I was very, very underweight though at the end of my school years. I think I weighed about 9 stone soaking wet, which I'm not sure what that is in kgs, but I weigh about 11 and a half now. So, you know, drastic difference between when I was at school comparatively to now. And I just remember spending afternoon, evening, and night after night after night after school, coming back home from school, going straight to load up Halo 3 or Modern Warfare 2 was a very, very big one, and just playing on that until my mum called me for dinner, taking my dinner upstairs. Like, I would go down, grab my dinner, go upstairs and just sit back in front of the screen. And sometimes I used to even double up when I used to get back into football and FIFA. I used to have a movie on my laptop and I used to have FIFA over here on my big screen. And when I look at the amount of hours that I wasted just consuming, just constantly like this hungry little goblin inside, I know it hindered my ability to, it definitely stunted my growth. I'm pretty confident that if I'd spent as much time as I did inside without any sunlight, outside doing something active, soaking up the sun, getting that growth hormone, I would definitely have grown taller than 5'8", 100%. You really need to, I mean, it's epigenetics, isn't it? They say you need to, epigenetics is up-regulating genes, right? So a lot of people say, you know, if your father wasn't a short man and your mother wasn't a short woman, then inevitably that you are going to be a short son or daughter. Not necessarily. As long as you're up-regulating those genes that are conducive to that particular outcome, then, you know, maybe you'll grow taller, and then maybe your children, if they also commit to putting their genes in the environment which is conducive with that particular outcome, then they may also receive the fruits of their labor. But back to, you know, testosterone, and I suppose the sentiment behind this video is putting yourselves in an environment where you are up-regulating those genes as early as you can to start to maximize the benefits of higher testosterone and being perceived as more masculine, I guess the way is. And I don't mean just superficially, I mean temperamentally. I know that if I would have put myself in a position where I was doing more competitive things, I would equally increase my competitiveness at this current temperamental level. And again, I do have to give myself some credit. I'm not going to lie to you and say that I didn't do competitive sports at school. I remember one of my best sports was actually 100-meter sprinting, which is, again, it's a solo sport. Unless you're doing the relay, I used to do the relay as well. And I always used to finish, you know, at least second or first most races throughout years 7 to 11 whenever I was doing the sprints. And then beyond that, I suppose more team sports. I tried, but I wasn't the best. I would like to say that I'm good at football, but there were certainly individuals far superior to me in that vein. But I never really got into my stride until I was old enough to go to the gym. And that's one thing that I do pride myself on, and one of the abilities I believe where I'm allowed to, or I gain transferable skills. And maybe that's the consequence of my endocrinology, my hormone profile, the chemicals running through my bloodstream that has allowed me to build this life for myself with, I wouldn't say relative ease, but I certainly believe as a 28-year-old living by myself, having my own business, being in charge of, when I wake up, when I go to bed, what I eat, when I work, when I rest, is a privilege. And I need to keep constantly reminding myself that not the average 28-year-old maybe is to have a place to themselves. Yeah, which, might be a tragic reality to be at peace with. But I think it's true. And I suppose my message is for maybe the more younger parts of my audience, but equally all men, is, are you upregulating your temperament through testosterone? Look, it's easy to talk about getting big muscles and increasing the muscle bulk around the androgen receptors and the upper chest and the traps and the shoulders and giving you that kind of masculine physique. I believe that does wonders for your confidence and equally your psychology when you're interacting with other people and in the world. But I mean, temperamentally, your work ethic. If you have more free-base testosterone in your bloodstream, then it changes the way you think. It changes the way you approach work. It actually increases your work satisfaction and dopamine upregulation in those moments when you are doing things that other people would perceive as being, boring or hard work, right? A tough grind, but you're actually getting satisfaction out of those moments. And I do have a Reddit story that I'm going to go over to the old setup and go through with you in a moment. But I just wanted to share a little bit about my story here and really get you to think about the hours that you may be wasting that you can't go back and undo. Like I can't unfuse my growth plates to allow me to grow taller, or maybe other aspects of my physiology that I can't think of at the moment that are permanently affected when you're in this state of puberty, really, the state of growth. You're very, very malleable at the stage. And, if you don't turn on the right genes, if you don't upregulate your endocrinology to be favorable for you, past your teenage years, then you're gonna slightly regret not having this kind of information. Even mewing, like your facial features, you've all hopefully seen my videos on that about how drastically you can improve your attractiveness just by good tongue posture, right? And have a little look at my channel if you don't already. But here's some advice I think is quite valuable, and equally I'm going to color it with my own personal experiences as we go forward. So first and foremost, you're going to have to excuse the title of this subreddit, Ask Teen Boys. That sounds like how I end my career, to be honest. But there was a question by a young 16-year-old man. And there was a couple of replies in this particular thread that I thought would be of utility. So I'll just read it here as it goes. I have self-body issues. I'm severely insecure and I feel like I'm not masculine at all as I'd like to be. This has really taken a toll on me, maybe mental health. I don't want to be a femboy twink. Interesting verbiage there. I want to be as masculine as possible. To add more context, I'm only 5'5", 100 to 130 pounds. Really haven't eaten well in the past few weeks. Somewhat depressed and about to turn 16 this August. Used to jerk off a lot in the past, but now I only jerk off maybe once or three. Well, that's still. I hope you mean weak. I hope he means weak. Let's just pray he means weak there. Now, this top comment from this 18-year-old, I thought was very, very simple, very, very potent, very, very powerful. I think here's the thing. Look, some of this stuff you've heard of before. You've heard of before if you're a young man watching this, or maybe not. I don't know. But here's the thing: it is not enough to know. It's not enough to know, but it is everything to practice, and that's the difference between intelligence and wisdom. Wisdom, the definition of wisdom, is synthesizing knowledge into practical application. You hear a lot of talking heads talk the talk, but do they walk the walk? I know that was terribly cliche, but it couldn't be more true. So the first one is make sure you are fueling your body appropriately, and you're fueling it with complete proteins and fats. I believe these two nutritional groups, very, very important. We've got references to eggs. I would reference here to beef. I have a preference for ground beef, high fat, because it's also cheap as well. And good fat means you're going to be satiated more. Fat is so essential for cholesterol production and, as a consequence, testosterone. Cholesterol, the jury's out on that. It's a trick they played us. You're not going to perish should you eat a lot of fat. Good references to fish. I do wish I should eat more fish in my diet. Dairy, maybe a question there for me. I know for some people it can irritate the skin. A lot of people don't process dairy perhaps as better as other people. I can process it fine. But I'm being sensitive to your diets as well, and I'm sure wherever diet is concerned, everybody's going to chip in with their say. So please do let me know down and below what else you would suggest to this gentleman in terms of nutritional requirements. Get good micronutrients like zinc, magnesium, and boron. That's a great stack for testosterone production. Particularly boron is one that a lot of people miss. Magnesium is often referred to as the mineral of relaxation, which is important for minimizing and mitigating cortisol in your blood, which kills testosterone. Eating as many clean calories as possible. At 16, it's virtually impossible to eat too many whole meats, fruits, and vegetables. I would agree. I underate when I was in my teenage years, and I definitely stunted my growth. Avoid fast food, junk food, grain, processed foods, and sugar. I think it's very clean, it's very to the point. But again, it's not enough to know, and it is everything to practice. Sleep well. You're still growing. I think sleep more. I think nap from time to time. Make sure you're giving your body as much opportunities to synthesize GH and recover as much as possible. I really do believe that. I believe you should be eating like a horse and hibernating during the winters at time. No electronics for the last hour before you lay down. Get yourself into theta, then delta brainwave pattern, I think is all tremendous advice. Results will greatly be dependent on sleep length and quality. There is nothing more imperative. Sleep is indispensable. I think that's a very way to conclude it. Get sun daily. I was a little vampire, little goblin living inside because I barely saw the sun. And sun, vitamin D, is so important for that optimization of growth and synthesis of your endocrinology. It's so important. And training with intensity, sprinting, heavy weights, bodybuilding activities, or something else. Studies show that short, powerful bursts are the best exercises for boosting testosterone and HGH, especially leg-based, and I agree with that wholeheartedly. Barbell squats, deadlifts, RDLs, sprints. Sprints are the #1 exercise that boosts growth hormone like nothing else. I believe 4x your growth hormone production when you are sprinting regularly. I know I mentioned in that previous story that I used to do the 100-meter sprint, but I never used to train for it. I was just naturally quite quick, but I never used to train, and I wish I trained more. I wish I went into the actual exercise prescription and reducing each movement pattern to strengthen, my hip flexors to get my legs up faster. And maybe doing 30-meter sprints, 40-meter sprints, 50-meter sprints, and really actually just dedicating myself wholeheartedly to that craft of being as quick as possible. And then minimizing stress reduction where possible. Already mentioned that cortisol here has an inverse relationship to testosterone. The higher the cortisol, the lower your testosterone. So for me, if I could tell myself, I would slap myself over the head, drag myself on my gaming chair, and tell myself to go outside, play some football, and do some more sprints, because that was a major chink in my armor when I was a young man. Fortunately, as I mentioned before, I was in the gym fairly early, and I was actually the go-to guy my friends would go to in respects to, Joseph, how do I do a bench press? How do I do a squat? How do I do a row? How do I do a pull-up? How do I do a lat pull down? How do I do a pullover? All these things, I was leading the way, and I'm so proud that I made that decision very, very early on. Not so proud about not getting any sun on my skin or supplementing with vitamin D at all. Pyro's mentioning here there's a lot of utility to actually gaining that kind of masculine physique embedded in all of this. Trying to stop the adult material use, certainly. Trying journaling, meditation, praying, and practicing mindfulness. The concept of masculinity is quite personal. So for me, I don't think of some muscle-bound barbarian wielding a battle axe. I think of a man prostrating himself before his God, before his deity, before his religion. And I think that is the culmination of what I'm kind of trying to teach here. And I don't want this to be misconstrued as some kind of ideology, some kind of dogma. I believe that you should have something higher than your own personal pleasure in your life that is your North Star. Because if your own pleasure is your God, is your religion, is your faith, then nothing will destroy you quicker. You become self-serving, you become selfish, you become guilty of the 7 deadly sins. That is, and having something higher, your God, your deity, your faith, to orientate yourself around by some kind of ritual, be it prayer, be it meditation, be it singing, be it music, I believe that is another massive chink in my armor that I never quite got towards. But your brain isn't fully formed then. I was an idiot when I was 18. I was an idiot when I was 23. I maybe stopped being an idiot around 24. But yeah, that's my personal opinion there. Other people were mentioning here some maybe more nuanced information around reducing the minimization of your phone and contact with your genitalia, such as your phone in your pocket, as it can reduce sperm quality. Same with laptops. They will slow cook your balls, and that is certainly not good for sperm production and testosterone, which is where it's manufactured, definitely. Also, there's microplastics as well, minimizing your contact with BPA. BPA is in nearly anything and everything. There's BPA in you right now. These very small microscopic elements of plastic that are getting into our bloodstream and have this estrogenic effect. All of this is in my testosterone optimization guide, which you can get for free if you join my first tier Patreon. And I'm actually in the process of doing another more comprehensive book on testosterone optimization, which you'll get for free if you join our community. Also, accountability groups, guys, are going to start in 2024. So if you're trying to minimize some of this terrible, awful behavior around consuming poisonous pixels daily, we can help each other out. I've got a group of very ambitious and dedicated men who are prostrating themselves before their deity and a higher vision of their future. And it's beautiful. It's going to be beautiful. And these aren't theories. They're facts. Speak soon.